Steph seems to have some courtyards, and I mean, he did buy them for $2, but you can start to see where, like, courtyard is going to be not nearly as good as Steward here. Steward's a very good card. It's my favorite card in all of Dominion.
There is an interesting play you can actually enable later in the game with Courtyard where you can seed your next hand with a card that you don't need
Yeah, you
at
can
the moment.
seed it with a stables and then draw it with no treasure. That's a really good play. It felt really good when I did that. Yeah, I would be excuse me, I would be surprised to see Steph not get an attack card this turn. He's gonna king some stewards, thin down completely, and I really think he's gonna start doing that this turn. Like king attack card. Well, he doesn't have enough money for that.
To say he's making me a liar when I said he couldn't buy 2 King's Courts, but he can't get anything else with it if he does.
Yeah, and it doesn't actually increase the payload of his deck.
True.
He already
He's
kinged all of his stewards this turn.
kinged all of his stewards. He does have 2 more coins of potential since he trashed once with one of them.
We also see that Mick has a pretty sad hand. It looks like he'll probably just draw a bunch of cards and buy one thing. That's unfortunate. You might also just take money. Yeah, money's smarter because you got all your king's courts in the draw pile.
Yeah, we saw Steph pick up the talisman to threaten the piles here. Don't know if he really has the buys to make it happen quite yet, but Steward is the only, well, Workers' Village is low from a talisman's point of view. I think one possibility that I considered at one point on this board is that if you're playing the deck like what Steph has here, you have the potential to king a bunch of stewards and pick up fool's golds if your opponent doesn't have the attack cards at that point, and if they wouldn't be able to react for your next turn, and you could end it with a huge money payload. You don't need that if you can pile out and buy a few points, but if your opponent gets a few provinces ahead or something,
Yeah.
you can rabble them. But
So Steph has a lot of options here with the talisman in play. He can really get a lot of cards. He could easily drain the Fool's Golds, and now all of a sudden his deck's payload is ridiculous, and pick up some workers' villages along the way to get buys, threaten tons and tons of points. Mixed deck has 2 workers' villages in it, so that's not necessarily dangerous for piles. It could be if he goes a little too cray. Another King's Court wouldn't be the worst thing ever for his deck either. This is a pivotal moment for Steph. I think this turn we'll really get to see where he wants to take his strategy, and by not getting the attack cards and by building the way he has, he's given himself the flexibility to wait to commit until this turn. So I think that's pretty well done. That's why he's amazing.
yeah, both players have done a really good job of building this to this point with very little treasure in their deck to make those treasure attacks much less useful.
And DG says in the chat that Steph has already won. I mean, the dud from mixing a glass hand really hurts. It may be too much. I mean, Steph's payload is already bigger. So it looks like Steph is trying to get it to a point where he can pile out next turn and Mick Cena can't. So it looks like he's going to try and do like King Steward Village, and that takes some amount of money that he will definitely have next turn.
$18.
Yes, $18. Counting is hard.
It would take $26 for Mick to do it without the talisman.
Does that include points?
He needs... No, that does not include points. He would need $7 more.
Yeah, I don't think he can do that.
And he would need more buys than he probably can produce. Well, maybe he can... 7? Probably needs $8 more for province if he has any chance of doing that, because he needs to king both these workers' villages for 7 buys.
$27. That's very close. Now I think he played he played 2 stewards for cards.
He played his early steward for cards. I think, no?
Yeah, just once. So
Yeah,
in theory
once.
he could have 29, and that wouldn't be enough to win either.
No. No, he needs... What was it? 26 to just to pile out.
Yeah, and I think the play is pretty clear here. He does have to go for full green. Otherwise, he just loses next turn. And a dud again. Well, that might spell doom for Mick. That's really unfortunate. Those treasure cards in his deck, well, I mean, they're not King's Court, so that's just bad luck.
Unfortunate.
So I don't think Steph will be able to win it on this turn. He'll have to do some serious endgame dancing, not knowing that Mixenoc has a dud. It'll be interesting to see like what he leaves in the supply. He might just have to go for full green.
Yeah, I mean, I think triple province is something that Steph definitely would have to avoid. Oh, he might be able to quad, but that's still pretty dangerous. So, a lot of duchies. I don't know.
Yeah, but then duchies are a pile too. Steph is in a really bad situation. Except for the fact that Mixenoc won't get to play next hand and really do anything, and that's really unfortunate. Because Mick has a great position here, and he's just not going to be able to capitalize on it.
Yeah, that is very true.
So now Steph's making uncomfortable decisions.
Did he place a King's Court on his deck that he's considering keeping there?
No, I don't think he needs the buy. I think he had placed that before. I don't remember what the card was.
I'm assuming it must be a king. I don't know what else he would want to leave on top of his deck.
Yeah, that he wouldn't want to play this turn.
Maybe a courtyard. Does he have 2?
He does. Yeah, that's it. Nicely done. Okay, so Steph is now playing into Mixenoc dudding, because a triple province would win here. I mean, it probably needs to be done. Steph kind of requires a dud from Mixenoc in order to have any chance. And Steph is about to be a very happy person.
There it is. Mick did say early on that his stewards were working together, working as a team. They've continued to do so.
They're BFFs. Yeah, and I think a duchy there is probably the best choice. I mean, a single province is decently easy to get, but double is harder, and Mick just needs another turn.
Yeah.
Man, this hand is not what you want to see as Mick either. His deck is trolling pretty hard, and he sees Steph kicks off and resigns. Well, that happened. It's really unfortunate because Mick did have a better position there and just made his own shuffle luck.
All right. One board left.
Let's update that text box there. JSH is saying Fool's Gold so bad. I'm pretty sure he's kidding. I really like the Fool's Golds from Mick there. I think Mick played it pretty well. I think they both played it pretty well, to be fair.
Yeah, I think they both played well. I think Steph was probably playing very intentionally to hit King's Court without using the Fool's Golds. He didn't ever trash the silver, which maybe he just didn't have a particular opportunity for it.
Yeah. So this kingdom was submitted by Iguana. Thank you, Iguana, for submitting this kingdom. So Vineyards is a good card, yeah?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good card. I especially like it when I can gain all of the $5 actions with Remake and Fortress.
Yeah, there's a lot of synergy going on here. You can do some pretty broken stuff with a thin deck and overdrawing it, yeah?
Yes, this is actually the one board that I did not play. We had this match sneak up on us, otherwise I certainly would have gotten a little bit of a look into this one.
Yeah, so Swindler is a good card. On the other hand, Fortress is a very good counter to it. Just about any there will come a point in this game where you're happy to have just about any 4-cost magically in your deck. I think the interesting part is Alchemist and City are the only draw, and yes, City's... Oh. That's the alarm that means that our... that our team meeting may go down, but this game might be fast. Probably should have looked at that. Anyway. There will come a point in time, or what was I saying? Drawing cards, it's hard to do. So, like, do you make the investment and thin down and try and draw all those cards? Because you might lose to the guy who just goes for Vineyards and gets more of them and has a million actions in his deck.
Yeah, Death Cart can gain you actions very fast as well. Sometimes the Banker Bot, or whichever one Adam happened to play.
It was Villager Bot this time.
Villager Bot likes to give you death cards just to make your vineyards worth more. Because he's a bro. But.
He was highest rated, and I figured, I didn't want to go up against big money on this board. Yeah, Remake Fortress is pretty good.
Yeah, in the early game with no draw, assuming neither of them are getting Alchemists, as we see here, having your Fortresses out there for Swindler makes a difference too. You get a nice little card draw anytime that hits.
Leopold says, I think potion actually gets ignored here. I don't agree with you. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think that ignoring the alchemists early is quite reasonable, but the vineyards are just going to be worth so many points.
You'll also see, I mean, Fortress is a very good card. It's super important here. And you're probably going to see some Swindlers hit Fortresses, and it's nice to see some defense against Swindler like that come into play.
Mick has actually just gotten rid of his Swindler on this turn with the remake.
Yeah, and I like that play. Gaining a Fortress is, you know, really good.
I mean, I think Leopold could have a point here with the remake Fortress. Potentially, before you have a chance to buy vineyards, you just run out 3 5-cost piles and gain some duchies. Maybe victory points don't really play in, but
I don't have much faith in that. You need to draw a lot for that, and I mean, Alchemist is online before cities are. I think by the time you get that going, Vineyards guy has enough points, and but you know, I haven't tried to play that specific thing. Maybe I'm wrong. Leopold's beat me with things that I thought were ridiculously bad before.
I mean, I think that depends on how quickly the piles run. I mean, if the piles are in a point where you can end the game before you have time to go for the vineyard.
So Mick, I imagine, is thinking about playing his Band of Misfits as a remake. It seems pretty good here. He can gain some 5ers. Probably more Band of Misfits. But he opts to play his Fortress first. That's reasonable. And I think he might want a second remake here, or maybe a workshop. He's quite thin. So, I think I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to run out the fortresses so he can go mass city. And then he can do some pretty ridiculous stuff here. Kind of like what Leopold was thinking.
Yeah, I think the only way that the Duke and Duchies can really have any play and not Duke in this case is if you pile the game and just are remaking Fortress into a single duchy or however many you need to win the game. We see Mick pick up a death card here from the Swindler.
Yeah, I think that's a good call by Steph.
There's no ruined markets showing yet. Don't know if it's up there now.
So we could potentially see a very big turn from Mick here.
Yeah, he can pick up that last fortress with a workshop and remake into a ton of cities.
Yeah, this is and I think he has one Band of Misfits. This could be, he could run out some piles pretty severely here. Remake Fortress into Band of Misfits City, draw both with City, repeat.
I mean, the argument in the chat is whether Vineyards is going to happen here, and he could also wait. If he only has one workshop, I guess he can't get the Fortress and pick up a Vineyards in the same turn here to keep that pile out from happening.
He does have Band of Misfits though.
Yeah, he does have bands. He could remake into bands and play them as workshops. to pick up a potion.
And let's see what he draws. A city draw here could be pretty enormous, and he does get it. So now he can workshop that fortress and draw a lot of cards with that city. So this is a pretty big deal for Mick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he should be able to get everything here with these draws.
They're also talking about a lack of plus buy. I mean, cities are going to turn on by the time points become relevant, so I don't think a lack of plus buy is a big deal here. Although a lack of potions may very well turn out to happen here. And then you can all say I told you so.
I think Band of Misfits as workshop is the only way Mick would potion this turn. But
yeah, I don't think that's really on his mind either.
Yeah.
So Survivor's play before the remake was a little bit off.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that affects anything. He's only got one fortress in there. Maybe he wasn't sure what was in his discard. It's the best I can think of.
It may not matter. I think he's out of draw for this turn anyway.
I mean, I guess if he gets cities here, you can still draw those, but they don't do anything at that point.
Yeah, Mick is worried about Steph ending the game on him, so he opts for a duchy here. And that isn't unreasonable. I mean, Steph's deck is about as thin as Mick's.
Yeah. He does have one city here already to start his turn off.
Ooh, JSH points out that if Ruin Market is on top of the Ruin stack, Band of Misfits can use it. Man, I wish I knew what Ruin was on top.
Mick and Steph just don't seem to care.
And if you don't like it, you can just gain a death card and then, get a different one. See if it's the one you want.
Oh, and there it is, Ruin Market. Steph just checked it out.
Nice. That changes everything. So, I think Steph is calculating what that last card is. I don't know if... I mean, he can overdraw using Band of Misfits as Fortress? Or no, he can't, because the fortresses are gone. So if that last card isn't another fortress, then Steph can't do... there are a lot of things that Steph can't do this turn. And in that case, he's probably just dead. Mick has enough overdraw that he can probably pile out next turn. Empty, I don't know, City and Duchy or something ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it would be City and Band of Misfits, but still.
Yeah, I mean, emptying the Band of Misfits is... Well, I guess they can't be played for... they can't be played for card anymore, as we were just discussing.
So given that, Steph may only have the option to go for full green, but even then that's pretty risky. But it may be the only thing that keeps him alive.
I think there's pretty good idea on Leopold's part on emptying the duchies. That takes away an easy source of points for Mick and puts him into the lead. Doesn't mean that there's not something Mick can do to get around that, but that does give Mick cities.
So the debate here is if Steph empties duchies, he has a 12-point lead, and then a second pile is empty. Mick also has the potential for like Band of Misfits as death cart on Fortress to get provinces, or he's got Band of Misfits and a workshop. Gaining a potion, gaining lots of potions is another way to get lots of points too. Both of those make ending the game a little annoying, but still probably possible. I mean, it only takes 3 remake plays. That's not too much, although Mick did just lose a remake to the Swindler here.
Yeah, and Steph did miscount his fortresses, and DG was correct that was a workshop on the deck. So Steph is now playing with no fortress for his remakes.
Yeah, Steph is in trouble here. I would be surprised if Mick didn't just end the game next turn. He can't even bomb his death cart to get a province this turn. So it turns out that having lots of fortresses is very convenient. Alright, now let's witness the power of this fully operational battle station. So I think City is pretty easy to play first. City and Fortress, as long as you still have a Fortress left in your hand.
Yeah, I don't think there's really any hope of getting the buys from City here. A couple of remakes to gain the rest of the cities would be required, and if you can do that, then you can play those for buys. So the early turn cities are not important to hold on to.
He needs to draw another Band of Misfits to really think about that. It's possible though. It's possible playing Fortress before City, as long as you can, is okay. And this is certainly a good play to do anyway, so it makes sense. So I expect we see a Fortress next, and if he draws a bomb, that's a big deal. Okay, here we go.
Yep. So now he can pile cities and get some buys. He can pick up a potion if he wants, but he's in the lead, so.
Yeah, I think there's one more Band of Misfits in Mick's deck, so if he can use that to remake and get more Bands of Misfits, that's one thing he can do to be in good shape. Another thing he can do is play it as a death cart.
Almost put those that abandoned mine back in the wrong order.
That would have been unfortunate.
It would have been very unfortunate. That is his last fortress.
Okay, so I think the last card there on his deck is the third Band of Misfits, which is a little unfortunate. And I didn't track his deck. Looks like he only has 2. So he's keeping the ruins around, which I find a little bit interesting. Does he have a win here? Yeah, the workshops. Oh, the ruins also. Yeah, lots of ways to force a win, so that makes sense. Very well played by Mick here. He was able to take a slight advantage in pace and convert it into a pretty convincing win.
The no potion people in the chat win this match.
Yeah, okay.
Probably
you
need
right.
to play more than one to know for sure. But
hey, against Villager Bot, potion was pretty crucial. Okay, just want to point that out.
It's crucial because you need to beat Villager Bot by as many points as possible. 14-0 is not acceptable.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been okay with that result.